Police Sergeant Birchue stops a stolen car, USSR, 1988. Lady Driver, 1902. A segregationist rally in the U.S., 1961. The crowd chants slogans claiming that racial integration is a form of communism. American military operation Rolling Thunder. U.S. pilots flew 304,000 combat missions, dropping nearly 8 million tons of bombs on Vietnam. A giant sea devil caught by Captain Khan, August 26, 1933. Scoliosis treatment device, 1880s. A brutal-looking early orthopedic tool. Mother and son watch a growing mushroom cloud during nuclear tests. Las Vegas, USA, 1953. Titanic survivors, Marjorie and Charlotte Collier, in New York, 1912. Throughout history, women have explored various methods to enhance their bust size, and this balloon contraption is among the less risky options. Police protect a group of black swimmers and desegregation supporters from an angry mob, Florida, 1964. Photographer Jay Maisel among his Kodachrome slides, 1982, and I thought my photo archive was a mess. A Turk washes his feet for his final prayer as Bulgarian soldiers prepare the gallows for him, 1913. The residents of Borena, near the Christian school, await the appearance of the Virgin Mary, whom a few kids supposedly saw there the day before. Belgium, 1933. Prostitutes behind bars in a brothel, Japan, 1890. Most of these women, likely from Korea or China, were sold by their families or husbands to repay debts. Previously unknown photo of Osama bin Laden at Oxford in 1971, about 14 years old at the time. Production of night pots made from German helmets. Denmark, 1945. 19th century American slave advertisement. For sale, a cargo of 94 excellent, healthy Negroes. 39 men, 15 boys, 24 women, and 16 girls. Just arrived in the Brigantine Dembia. This photograph, taken in 1936, became a symbol of the Great Depression in popular culture. Nuns keeping their eyes fixed on a fashionable woman, 1960s. Auschwitz concentration camp after liberation, 1945. Woman drinking tea amid the ruins of her home after heavy bombing of London, 1940. Oil-rich Native American, Oklahoma, USA, 1920. John Minnick, the heaviest person in medical history. Astonishingly, he found a slim girlfriend, Jeanette. The young couple quickly fell in love and married, despite the 1,300-pound weight difference between them. Salvador Dali in Paris with a giant 12-meter baguette made in his honor, 1958. Racist residents beat and expel black journalist Alex Wilson from their town, Little Rock, Arkansas, 1957. Robert Wadlow, the tallest recorded man in history, with his family, 1935. A man asking for help from a passing car during the brutal genocide in Rwanda, 1994. When the British jailed Gandhi in 1932, the nationalist leader continued to spin his own thread. Mahatma Gandhi called upon Indians to create their own textiles rather than purchasing British goods. Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife arrive in Sarajevo, 1914. A man stops a tank with his body during the Soviet invasion of Czechoslovakia, 1968. In the late 1960s, Czechoslovakia sought to implement some democratic standards, like freedom of speech and press. Robert Wadlow, one of the tallest people in history, 1939. When he died, his height was 8 feet 11 inches, weight 438 pounds. A young Russian girl finally tastes freedom after surviving the horrors of Auschwitz, 1945. This haunting image serves as a powerful reminder of the millions stripped of their identity. Yet, who managed to survive the impossible? Canadian hockey team, 1922. The scandal that shook Hollywood in 1921. Silent film star Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle was accused of a brutal assault on model Virginia Rapp during a party, an event that ended her life and destroyed his career forever. Musicians play for cows to see if music affects the amount of milk they produce, 1930. German soldiers lead Polish girls to be executed, 1941. 89-year-old billionaire J. Howard Marshall and model Anna Nicole Smith. She eagerly awaited the reading of his will, but her husband didn't leave her a single cent. Back in the 15th century, moose were used as mounts in the Swedish army. Meanwhile, in Russia, a decree banned riding moose in cities because they kept knocking people over. In Children Being Fed as part of the Save the Children program, an international campaign to provide food for at least 7 million orphan children born during the Russian Revolution, 1921. Chernobyl disaster cleanup workers, 1986. Many of them later died from the effects of radiation. Carla Bruni with her parents, 1992. The Bronx Zoo featured an exhibit called "The Most Dangerous Animal in the World." It was a mirror, USA, 1963. Native Alaskans play the game Nulukatuck, 1965. The trampoline was invented by Eskimos to spot whales during hunting as early as possible. They used a stretched walrus skin, which could throw them to a height of almost 4 floors. Roller coasters first opened at Coney Island in 1884. Injuries and even deaths were recorded due to mechanical failures, derailments, and a complete lack of seatbelts. The survival record in open sea after a shipwreck was set by Chinese man Pan Lian. After a German submarine sank the English merchant ship where Pan worked as a steward, he spent 133 days on a wooden raft, surviving by catching fish, collecting rainwater, drinking bird blood, and even killing a shark. Finnish strongman Viljami Hautavieta with 2 rifles in his teeth, 1930s. The first underwater nuclear test, USA, Bikini Atoll, 1946. The explosion ejected 2 million tons of water, creating a radioactive tsunami. 75% of the animals perished, and the atoll remained uninhabitable until 2010. The first match between Madrid's Real and Barcelona, 1929. These are now the most decorated football clubs in the world. A Man Among Giant Plants on Maui Island, Hawaii, 1924. The military prepares to shoot an elephant that fled the zoo from starvation. Having survived World War II, he died at the hands of the very people he had brought joy to for 30 years. Armenia, 1970. The feeling. When the Statue of Liberty stands in your backyard, USA, 1930. King George VI of Great Britain was a very serious man, 1938. Repairing faults on the Graf Zeppelin airship during a flight in 1934. U.S. Vice President Nelson Aldrich Rockefeller gives the finger to a crowd of hippies during a public speech. New York, USA, 1976. An animal with an IQ comparable to a human's, Coco, the gorilla. She knew over 1,000 sign language signs and could understand around 2,000 English words. Coco could describe her feelings, curse, and joke. For example, once she jokingly called herself a good bird, saying she could fly, but later admitted it was just for fun. She passed away in the morning of 2018. In 1974, North Korea ordered 1,000 Volvo cars from Sweden. The cars were shipped, but North Korea simply never paid for them. The bill remains unpaid to this day, making it the largest car theft in history. Chinese people celebrate the successful test of the first atomic bomb, 1964. Japanese people commuting to work in the morning, 1964. Due to population density, pushing and embracing strangers is an everyday occurrence for them. Back then and now, people in Tokyo don't live there. It's very expensive. But they all work in the capital, so they commute for several hours from the suburbs. There are so many people in Japan and so little land, so bumping into and hugging strangers is common. Feminists holding a poster that reads, "Eve was framed, USA, 1970. A clever reference to the biblical story of the fall, suggesting Eve was unfairly blamed for humanity's sins. The winner of the Miss Nairobi Beauty Contest, Kenya, 1966. Captured 16-year-old German soldier at the end of World War II, 1945. Marilyn Monroe, detained for driving without a license, 1954. A poignant Victorian-era photo of a sleeping baby in the arms of its mother, who died during childbirth. Greta Bösel, a trained nurse, was a guard at Ravensbrück, and as Arbeitseinsatzführerin helped select women for the gas chamber. Wedding on a high wire, France, 1954. 20 meters above ground, no safety gear, just rings and courage. A worker accidentally left a broom and bag near the statue of Supreme Leader Kim Il-sung. If the culprit had been found, they would have faced harsh punishment or even death. North Korea. Puffy the cat, believed to have hypnotized over 300 people with her huge, unblinking eyes, 1944. At the start of the Russo-Japanese War, caricatures of a crying Japanese man being whipped by a Cossack were popular in Russia, Russian Empire, 1904. Eventually, Russia lost the war, suffering massive losses. A warehouse filled with shoes from the victims of Auschwitz concentration camp, Poland, 1944. The First Feminists, 1911. A heart-wrenching photo of two pilgrims walking along the Soroki River towards the famous Sarov Monastery. A man without legs is pulling along a blind companion with a rope. Russian Empire, 1903. In Soviet Russia, some prisoners, fearing for their lives, would tattoo images of Stalin on their chest or other parts of their body because guards were not allowed to shoot at images of their national leaders. A strike by African American sanitation workers asserting their dignity. The signs read, "I am a man, USA, 1968. The most fraudulent election in history took place in Liberia in 1927. Charles King received 243,000 votes, despite there being only 15,000 registered voters. As punishment, a French woman who had a relationship with a German is shaved bald, 1945. Prosthetic big toe found in the tomb of Tebeka Temet, Thebes necropolis. Police fight against demonstrators protesting against the Vietnam War, USA, 1968. At the peak of his popularity, Charlie Chaplin participated in a Charlie Chaplin look-alike contest in San Francisco. He came in 20th place. In 2000, the Zimbabwean bank ZB Bank Limited held a lottery for depositors. In an incredible coincidence, the grand prize of $100,000 was won by President Robert Mugabe. British sergeant training the Army of Moms during the Battle of Britain, 1940. Native chief discussing Garrison Dam construction with officers, North Dakota, 1946. Rare photo of U.S. President Woodrow Wilson in which his famously bad teeth can be seen, 1910s. Protest against Prohibition, USA, 1932. Coffin beds in a Salvation Army shelter in London. This is one of the first shelters for the homeless around 1900. A mother reunites with her daughter after 7 months of service in Iraq. The armored Mercedes-Benz of the president of Ingushetia after an assassination attempt by the Russians, 2005. Inflatable boats made of buffalo hide, early 19th century India. Japanese people, listen to the Emperor's surrender announcement, Japan, 1945. The Last of the Mohicans, an indigenous girl, 1960s. The last public execution by guillotine in France, 1939. A former slave holds a rod that was used by planters to call slaves. 1939. One of the last photos of passengers boarding the American Airlines flight on September 11th, the plane that later crashed into the Pentagon as a result of hijacking. Professional silent mourners attended the funerals of any wealthy deceased in Victorian England, 1896. Their duties were simple: to silently and sorrowfully stand at the entrance to the house, holding a staff with a bow. Passers-by seeing the silent mourners would be overcome with the somber atmosphere of the funeral. The fly whisk strike delivered by the ruler of Algiers to the French ambassador in 1827 over debt disputes served as the pretext for the French invasion and subsequent century-long occupation of Algeria, which lasted until 1962. Turkish teenagers marching to take part in the Battle of Gallipoli, 1915. Alcohol being prepared for destruction during Prohibition in the USA, 1924. A man in Durban rides a bus designated for white passengers as a protest against South Africa's apartheid policy, 1986. In 1920, ideas of healthy habits were a bit different. Here, athletes casually share cigarettes during a Tour de France bike race. This photograph, along with many others, captures the devastating consequence of war: famine. Africa, 1992. I am proud of my gay son. New York, 1974. Thank you for watching this video until the end. I hope these photos impressed you. Some may have made you angry, brought a smile, made you happy, or perhaps even caused some negativity. Feel free to leave your comments and stay tuned for the next part. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Bye.